Today we're going to learn how to find standard deviation and how you end up finding standard deviation and what standard deviation is. The standard deviation is this simple, and what it stands for is it's the average distance away from the mean. So what we're really doing is we're finding the average distance away from the mean. So the first thing we want to do with this number set is we want to find what the mean would be. And we do that by adding up all the numbers. So I'm going to add up all the numbers and dividing by how many numbers there are. And in this one, we get 64, and there's 10 numbers, so we get 6.4 for our mean. Now take this 4 right here, that first number. We want to know the distance away from the mean. If you want to find the distance from something, you take the two numbers and you subtract them. And what you get when you do 4 minus 6.4 is you get negative 2.4. Now you might go, that doesn't seem very good. I don't want a negative distance, because distances really shouldn't be negative. What most people would like to do is they would like to take the absolute value of the distance and just call this 2.4. Unfortunately for us, absolute values are not really nice in math. So the other way, if you have a negative number and you don't want it to be negative anymore, that you could fix that, is you can times it by itself, because a negative times a negative would give you a positive. So we, for every single one, to get rid of the negative sign, are now going to take this and square it. So let's do negative, or 2.4, and we're going to square that, which would give us 5.76. Then we would do that with the next number, which the next number is the exact same. And then we would do that with the next number, which is going to give us negative 1.4, and we would have to do that negative 1.4. Whoops. 1.4 squared, which is 1.96. And the next number, which is 6. So you can see that this process is going to take a little bit for me to do. So I'm going to finish off finding all of these, and I'm going to have them in a list so we can see what we're going to do with them next. So I've got all these numbers calculated out. So these were the numbers that we had in the list. Again, we had the means. We subtracted to find all the distances, and now you can see that we've squared all of these distances. And now we said we wanted to find the average distance. And so how do you find the average distance? Well, you take an average, which means we add up all these numbers and divide by how many numbers there are. So I'm going to let the computer do that. And we found that our average distance was 2.64. This, however, when I did my distances, see how I did my distances squared? So this isn't my average distance. This is really my average distance squared. We call that a special name since we use it on our calculation. We call this variance. So we just found the variance. Well, if we wanted to find our average distance, and this is just our average distance squared, and you want to think about how could we take that and find just your average distance, well, since that's squared, how do you undo a squared? Oh, I take a square root. So I would want to take this number right here, and I would want to square root it, which is taking it to the 1/2 power. And this would be our standard deviation, which is 1.62. Or, in our terms, what we call sigma. Sigma is going to be 1.62. Now you can see that this calculation by hand takes a long time. So in the second video, I'm going to show you how you do this on a calculator really quickly.